Hello, everybody. This is Greg29407 back with our first episode of Crowfall. Crowfall is an MMO that has just gone into closed beta, and it's been in alpha and pre-alpha for about 5 years. So it was a Kickstarter game, and I put some money into it about 3 years ago, and I played around with it a little bit. It's a primarily PvP, or as they call it, it's like a throne room type game where you're fighting different campaigns and things. And so what you do is you create different characters, and you join up with guilds and factions to try and fight for different campaigns. It's kind of unusual and kind of unique in that the campaigns may last 2 days or 4 days or 7 days or 2 weeks or a month or 90 days or a year. And what happens is each campaign has a beginning, a middle, and an end. You and your faction or your guild go into this campaign, and you fight for as long as you can. And at the end of the campaign, there are different aspects for what it takes to win that particular campaign. They change, and there's a winner and a loser. And then that campaign ends, and you go on to do something else, another campaign or something different. So it's kind of interesting and unique. I'm not a big PvP person, a one-on-one type person, because I'm not very good at it. But this idea of having teams and fighting against different teams for factions and for specific things like capture the flag type thing is kind of appealing to me. So I thought I'd put some money into it and see what it looked like. It's been a long time coming. It's now in closed beta. I wanted to show you, we have Eternal Kingdoms, God's Reach, and Campaign. Show you the God's Reach part, because this is where you would create your characters. And you'd create characters, and then you go into this God's Reach area, which is really kind of a PvE thing. It gives you your tutorial. It shows you how to play the game, the basics. They've got some work to do on the tutorial, to be honest with you, and get you up to a certain level so you have some basic understanding of how to use your powers. And I got to be honest, some of the powers and the combinations are a little confusing. Right now, I've got a Frost Weaver, which is sorry about that, which is what I've been waiting to play for a long time. It was the last type character that they created, and I'm enjoying it. I got level 28 right now. And you have different slots you can create characters. What I want to do today, though, is go over all the different classes and races you can play and the different combinations, and see what we've got. So we'll pretend like we're going to create a new character. We have 1, 2, 3, I think 12 races and 11 classes. And like the first one was Centaurs. So Centaurs can be champions, clerics, or knights. You can't play a Centaur druid. So each one is different kind of things, different combinations. So I thought I'd go through some of these and we take a look at them. Here's a centaur, and they're the guy with the horse or the lady with the horse. And for each one of these things, you can do a little bit of change the face style, the hairstyle, the skin tone, the accent color, hair color, those kind of things. Not too much. You have the Elkin race, which are, deer people. These are male only for some reason. I don't know, maybe because of the horns. I don't know. So they're the Elkin. We have the Fae, which have wings, and these guys can they don't fly way up in the air a lot, but they can, travel kind of fast with their wings. We have the basically the guinea pigs, or rat people, short little guys. We have half elves. Change this to green. No, you can't make them green. Have half giants. So big, fierce-looking guys. High elves. This is what I've chosen for my Frostweaver. You have your human race. Your minotaurs, which are like, I guess they're kind of like, let's just say they're like a buffalo or something, but I don't know, some kind of weird looking creature. The Thari, who are just basically evil humans. Stoneborn, which I think are supposed to be like dwarves. And then wood elves. And these wood elves look a little bit different. Yeah, you can make them a kind of greenish kind of thing. So that's for that. Now, for the classes are somewhat different, and unfortunately there's should be something here that if you click on it, it would tell you more about these characters and things, but it doesn't. Maybe it will eventually, but we're in closed beta. It doesn't have anything like that. Same with classes. Classes are more important than the races themselves. And unfortunately, there's nothing that tells you what these things can do. Like there's an assassin. Well, what does that mean? So I've got some stuff written down here. Assassins are doing stealth stuff. They use knives, they use poison, they use silent arrows. They do a lot of backstabbing. And we have 5 different categories of concentrations. We have strength, we have constitution, we have dexterity, we have spirit, and we have intellect. And each one of these things requires different things. So an assassin really focuses on dexterity, because you need to be swift and smooth and slick. That's like a 5-star. It goes 2 to 5 stars, and that's a 5-star. There are no 4 stars for assassins, but there are 3 things that are 3 stars: intellect, constitution, and spirit. So assassins are not super strong. They don't have a lot of strength, but they have, a lot of dexterity, a lot of intellect. They're spies. They're spies and backstabbing things. Now, for each one of these types of classes, there are going to be 3 promotions. 3, you get to choose as you're playing the game, and you specialize in a certain type thing. For assassins, you can focus on cutthroat, which are they get behind the target and backstab them, and kidney shots and things like that. The Blackguard, they're self-sustaining. They do the life leeching, and they suck. They're like vampire type things. Not vampires really, but they suck your enemy's life, their enemy's life from them, and so they kind of they can kind of heal themselves and things. And the third one is Vandal. They do a lot of crowd control, a lot of crowd control heavy builds and things like that. So a little bit more like that. Then we have our champions. Let's see if we can do a champion. Yeah, this guy can do a champion. There's several ways to do champions. Champions are mercenaries, they're warlords, they're conquerors. They use two-handed weapons like a giant sword or a giant axe or giant mace, that kind of thing. They specialize in strength, constitution, and dexterity. So they got to move around a lot. They use powers like leaping and stomping and cleaving and slicing things in half. They're the big, super strong, powerful guys like blacksmiths with giant swords. Their different promotions are, they have the Alpha Warrior, they specialize in critical hits, Pit Fighters, who are kind of the tanks of the group, and then Barbarians, who are crowd control heavy. So these are guys who are really, really powerful. Then we have our Cleric, and Clerics are healers and warriors. They specialize in spirit, then in intellect, and then in constitution. Radicals are full DPS. It's great that they do a lot of healing stuff, but for radicals, they're not going to do the healing. They're going to do all damage. Crusaders are going to be full healing. They're going to be the guy on the team that's going to heal you up and keep you powered up. And then finally, the Arbiter, which is a hybrid build. They do more crowd control with a little bit of healing and some DPS as well. Then we have our Confessors. There's several races that can be Confessors. Confessors are going to be doing ranged fire attacks. So from afar, they specialize in intellect, then in strength, and then in dexterity. And our promotions here are Vindicator, which do straight damage. They got fire, so hit them with fire, it's going to do a lot of damage. Paladins that do more support and healing. And then Fury, which is crowd control heavy. It's really focused on big ranged attacks and AoE attacks and that kind of thing. Then we have our Druids. And Druids do a lot of magical things. They live out in the woods, and they do a lot of magical, a lot of heals. They do have 2 power trays, which is be a little tricky for me. I don't know. Their promotions, they have Stormcaller, which do full DPS. They have a lot of damage buffs, and they also have AoE Lightning, which does sound appealing to me. The second one is Archdruid. They're a hybrid. They have a life tray and a death tray, so they do damage and healing. And then Earthkeeper, which is full support. They use healing orbs to heal the members of their team or their guild. They're going to help out and that kind of thing. Then we have our duelist. And our duelist is the only, if you want to play a duelist, you have to be one of these guinea pig guys. And they have either dual pistols or rapiers. And they focus on dexterity. That is the big thing, dexterity. Nothing for 4 stars. And then for 3 stars, they're looking at intellect and spirit and constitution. So these guys, obviously, they're not muscle bound. They're not going to like do any bench pressing for you. But the 3 groups for duelists are the Slayer, which uses dual pistols. So it's ranged attacks. Vanguard Scout, which are stealth. And these little guys, they burrow into the ground so they can like go cover great distances underground so no one can see them. So they can be used for scouts and stuff like that. So a lot of stealth. And then the Dirge, which is full melee. They're going to get their rapier, and they're going to do a lot of fancy sword play and stuff like Zorro and fight that way. Then we have a Frostweaver, which is what I'm playing right now. Frostweavers are pretty awesome. They use ranged ice attacks. So it's like the Confessor, but with ice. They focus on intellect, followed by spirit, followed by constitution. So again, not a lot of muscle in those arms, but that's okay because they have a lot. They're really, really powerful. They have the Frost Guard, which is ranged tank, and that's what I'm playing. And they have a lot of combination powers, and they do a lot of damage before the enemy even gets to you, so it's pretty powerful. The Ice Caller, which is a healer, so that's a good person to have on your team. And then the Archmage, which is mainly all damage. Then we have the Knight, and the Knight is the sword and board. This is the guy that's going to be running around. He's focused on Constitution, followed by Strength, followed by Dexterity. And the Swordsman, he's offensive-minded. He's using his shield slams. He's fighting with both a sword and a shield. Secutor is the tank, and the Sentinel is the crowd control heavy guy. So, knights are knights. Then we have the Myrmidon. And Myrmidons are kind of like champions, or kind of like the Hulk or something. But in this case, Myrmidons have dual wield, I think, mace or axes. And these guys are like crazy. They're pit fighters, they're mercenaries, they're barbarians. They have dual weapons, and they just run amok. They're just going crazy. They're not really well trained. They just use rage and anger and stuff like that. They focus on both strength and constitution. And then down the list, dexterity. The Titan is high damage. They use frenzy for the power. The Battle Rager is more of the tank. And then the Conqueror is the crowd control heavy. They have like this thing called Whirlwind, where you spin around with your dual weapons and just like tear everyone apart. And you can't be killed when you're doing this, and you just run amok. Run amok is probably the good name for the Myrmidon. So I'm actually interested in playing one of these guys. Oops. Then we have the Ranger. Ranger is going to be archers. So I think the Elkin also are Rangers. Yeah. When I think of Ranger, I think of these guys. But they're archers, but they also do a lot of melee. They can do either one. They're hunters. They're trappers. They're spies. They're scouts. They're in the woods. They use 2 power trays also. They don't have 5 stars in anything. 4 stars, though, they have dexterity and spirit. And 3 stars are strength and constitution. So, not super strong, but they have a lot of heart. So they're doing a lot of this stuff. So, the promotion, they have Archer, which is range heavy, of course. They're going to be shooting their bows and arrows at you. Warden, which is full melee. Use a lot of that. They have a lot of traps, like you see in the forest to catch wild animals and stuff. And then is the Brigand, stealth melee. So they'll be sneaking through the woods to try and get you that way. And finally, we have Templar. Let's see. Yeah. Templars are going to be kind of holy warriors. They do combat and they do divine magic. They don't have 5 stars in anything, but they do have 4 stars in strength and spirit and constitution. That's pretty much it. There are 3 promotions. They Vindicator, which they focus on all damage. You use their sword, their holy sword, to put you in your place. The Paladin, which is support and heals. And then finally, the Fury, which is crowd control heavy. So If you look at this, they broke all their categories into 3 different groups. So the fighter class, are going to be your champions, your knights, your templars, and your myrmidons. Your mages are going to be your confessors, your clerics, your druids, and your frostweavers. And then your rogue, which maybe it's not really a rogue, it's just the other category, is going to be your assassins, which are rogues, your rangers, and your duelists. So a lot more of the spy stuff, the sneaky stealth stuff, those are what they're calling the rogue group. So that is kind of it for this. That's kind of a really brief summary. If you want to read some of this stuff, there's a guy on the internet called Crusader W who plays a lot of this game. He has a lot of great detail on all these categories. I wish when you on this opening screen, you could click on these and see all the information you want and see what pairs up best with what. Unfortunately, that's not in the game right now, so you had to do a little bit of research outside. Hopefully this video helps out and gives you an idea of what you want to play. I've got several ideas of what I want to play. And when we come back next, we're going to create a brand new character and take them through the tutorial. So until next time, this is Greg29407 saying arrivederci, and we will see you next time.